Alex, who's going to be winning the Super Bowl this Sunday?
Let me tell you who's gonna win. Okay, my team, my quarterback. Okay, my running back, my play, the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles, and it is Eagles, not whatever that lady said. They are gonna win. Okay, they are gonna take it. If they don't take it, nobody can speak to me for a week. That's all.
How did you even become an Eagles fan? Welcome, listeners, to the first episode of Banquet Hall Podcast of 2025, the first episode of Black History Month. Alex, you're about to be a Black History Month star of the podcast.
Hello.
Welcoming you to the podcast for the second time. It's crazy you was on this podcast without me. You're the only person to be on this podcast without me also on the podcast.
Whoa, look at me. I'm hitting a lot of things then.
I know, like it's
2025, Black History Month. Look at me, just a star. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, it's your world. I'm just podcasting in it. Listeners, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, make sure y'all tap in on social media at Banquet Hall Pod. You might as well leave the 5 stars ahead of time because I already know it's going to be a good episode. So leave the 5 stars. Go ahead, hit the homie up. Tell them they got to listen to this conversation as well. But looking forward to chopping it up with Alex. How are you doing today in general? I know you said it to me outside of the pod, but for the listeners, how are you today?
I am well today. You know, we're alive. We talked about it. It's Monday.
It is a Monday.
But I'm doing well. I'm pushing. I'm thriving, living. You know.
Hey, we love a thrive. We love a thrive for sure. So getting into the podcast itself, usually I start the podcast with a random icebreaker question, and I always forget to think of the icebreaker question before I hit record. It's always this moment when I'm like, dang, I was supposed to think of an icebreaker question. But before we started recording, we were talking about a vacation that shall not be named because you was a little salty that she wasn't there. Um, what is the best vacation you've been on?
Ooh, best vacation. Bali, Indonesia.
Bali. That's where I'm trying to go next year.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It was a birthday gift from somebody we will not name, but it was a birthday gift. And you know, I got to be treated and stuff. No, I had some of the best fried rice I have ever had in my life out there. I went ATV riding. Oh my gosh, elephants are my favorite animal. So I was taken to an elephant farm. One of the elephants had just had babies, and we were like one of the first groups to see the baby.
Aww.
So that was really cool. We stayed in like a boutique resort, so it was very like small, very intimate. It's also just beautiful. Like it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life. It's a tropical place. So even when it rained, it was like, I don't even like the rain. I was like, yes, you got served. You got served. I was literally, I had such a good time. Like it was so, and back then I was like all in love. So being with my partner, I was just, not like but like I was just so happy, and it was so, I don't know, it felt really grown up too because it was just the two of us exploring this place neither of us had been, and it was great. Like it was great.
Man, see, now you got me excited for Bali because
No,
literally.
So, actually, you know what? See, I'm going to give you an example of how you would make a trip.
Okay.
We're talking about Bali. I won't say who just yet, but we are talking about Bali because everybody's turning. Well, not everybody, you, but most people are turning 30 this year. So we're planning some trips, and Bali has come up in the group chat now. Whether or not it gets out of the group chat, I don't know. But
fingers crossed, y'all make it out the group chat. Y'all gotta make it out the group chat.
I want to redo it. Another trip full of love, but like
and loved ones. Which is a beautiful type of love in itself, and that leads to my favorite vacation, the island that shall not be named. No, I'm just kidding. Turks and Caicos.
Here we go.
I gotta do it for the listeners haven't heard from me since I got back from Turks. I gotta talk about Turks a little bit.
Go
So
ahead. Let's
Alex
rub
is
it.
upset at me.
Oh, wow. No, go ahead. Please tell me. I'm gonna live by you.
Alex is upset at me because she wasn't invited on this trip, who was somebody else's 30th birthday trip, who Alex just met a month ago.
Literally might have met the girl 3 weeks before they were supposed to go out there. But I just feel like in spirit, y'all should have known that I would want to go. She should have just knew that I was coming into her life. Whatever. Go ahead, talk about it.
My bad. We gotta be better. We gotta be better. It's Black History Month. We gotta be better.
Right, excuse me,
Um,
black folk.
but it was a 4-day trip for my best friend from high school's 30th birthday. Another close friend of mine's birthday was also that week, and we had an Airbnb with black people, and we made it out the group chat, and we just had the time of our lives. Everybody was chilling, perfect energy, no drama, no issues,
Oh, I
all
love
laughs.
that. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
And just like you said, being at peace, like just like
Mm-hmm.
walked out the villa. I'm like, man, I could get used to this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just
Waking
chilling
up.
by the pool.
Yeah.
The water is like, you can't. The pictures of all these tropical places look beautiful, and it still don't meet what you see with
Yes,
your
it never does
eyes.
it justice, right? Like, oh, experiencing things like that is so important because you can see all the pretty pictures that anybody posts that you look up on the internet, but being there in those places, in that atmosphere, it's unmatched. Like
It's
it's
special.
unexplainable. It's so special.
It's so
Oh my
special.
god. Like,
And
and I
you mentioned the best fried rice you ever had. I had the best chicken strips I've ever had in Turks.
what?
Best chicken strips ever. It was at Noah's Ark. Like for whatever reason, at Noah's Ark, they had the singular best chicken strips I've ever had in my life.
Gonna act like I'm not feeling left out. I'm a chicken strip girl, so whatever. It's
Oh
fine.
dang, my bad. I didn't know you was a chicken strip girl. That's my fault. That's my fault. I got to do my research.
Also, literally, I'm. Oh my gosh! Don't tell anybody. I guess, but the podcast.
Hey, it's
Oh,
just us here. It's just us here. But
I'm one of those people that like prefer boneless wings over like.
oh, so you really a chicken strip
I'm
queen?
really a chicken
So
strip.
this is what you gotta do. You gotta go to Turks and Caicos. You gotta go to Noah's Ark and forget
Okay,
everything going on, like the dancing and stuff. Get the chicken strips.
I'm crying. Don't pay attention to anything but
Don't
the.
pay attention to anything but the chicken strips. You have my word. I won't let you down.
Oh man, can't wait. Yeah, I need to make it to church.
I'm a manifest it for you. And
Please.
next time I won't, you will be invited. You'll be the first person to receive the invitation.
Okay, that's what
Saying
I'm
it
thinking.
on record. I might edit this
All
out, but I'm
right,
saying it on record.
listeners. No, I'm not even gonna just say you heard it here first. He said it, and if it doesn't come through,
Then I edit it out.
yeah. Ah!
But let's go ahead and get into some of the actual questions of the podcast. I think that icebreaker worked well without pissing you off too much.
Yeah.
But the first real question of the podcast usually start with, Alex, where are you from and how did that shape the person you have become?
Oh, that's a cute question. Okay, so I am born and raised and still reside in Los Angeles, California. Real prideful LA baby. Specifically Ladera Heights. For those of you who don't know, I don't know where you guys are watching from. Ladera Heights has been dubbed by the community as the Black Beverly Hills.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really fortunate not to come from like a background of like wealth or anything like that, but my examples have been amazing where I live. Representation is something that's so important growing up. And I grew up around the doctors. I grew up around the writers. I grew up around the educators. And I grew up in a community that was welcoming and always paid attention to the children. So having people that catered to us and pushed us to be the best we could be gave me the privilege of never feeling like I was held back or restrained or I couldn't make it to whatever I wanted to be. And if there wasn't a path, I was taught how to make my own path to do whatever it was that I wanted to do. It sucks because I feel like in being a Black person, you're always told what you can't do, or you're always restricted from something, or you're not welcome. And I feel like growing up where I did, especially since there are a lot of older Black people here, not only did you get the stories of like what it was like and why it was so important to overcome, but you got the rule book and the instructions on how to overcome it, how to not let it hold you back. And I think that shaped me into the person that I am now. Like, I don't, the word no isn't really something that works too well for me. Like, and I think it's also like shaped me into the mom I am. One of the scariest things in this country in this time is having a Black boy, and I'm raising one, and having the village I do and the support system I do makes it a lot less difficult, a lot less scary. I know that my group, the people where I am, and the people who are around, I'm still growing, truly.
Hey, we
But
all are.
like they help me in the process of being the best I can be, motivating me in that, and showing me how to make sure my son is safe and he can do everything that he has to do. Yeah, that answered that. I just, I'll be going on tangents sometimes. But yeah.
Nah, but it's beautiful. I like when people get lost in the sauce of their answer because it's like it's a real answer. That's really who you are. That's how you're
Yeah.
navigating being from LA, and that's one of the things
Mhm.
I love best about just hearing people's story about where they're from. Because especially the city of Los Angeles, there's so much stigma, stereotype of what the LA person looks like or what the Black people from LA look like, and there's so much diversity in the city. So uh, we
Yeah,
gotta rep it.
absolutely. And like another thing that I'm really appreciative of being in LA is like you do hear a bunch of like everybody just thinks Hollywood. You hear LA, you think Hollywood, you think fake, you think all of these things. But I think I've met some of the most authentic people here growing up. Like when I talk about my circle, when I talk about my group, the friends that I've turned into family, like my family in general, I just feel like I've met some of the most down to earth people. And I've met people that are so supportive. You don't hear enough about that in
Right.
my hometown, but they do exist. Um, and I'm just so blessed and happy to have them in my journey. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it truly takes a village in a multitude of ways. Like you talk about raising a kid, but also just growing as ourselves and our into our own adulthood. It really does take a village and it takes community. And that leads to my next question for you, and more so for the listeners than myself, because obviously I know, but how did we first cross paths?
Oh, was it a party, Tyler? Was he always partying? No, I'm just kidding.
Not too much.
Not right. I was about to say no. It was one of our everybody on the pod knows Asha, right? We know Asha.
Folks know Asha.
It literally, Asha had a birthday celebration in Palm Springs. We rented out, or she rented out a little Airbnb. We got together like we do to celebrate our beautiful Black people. Um, this was one of my first like trips taking my son on too. That like was so special. We met Kyler. We had the two Kais. And then just a couple of our friends, we got together, we played games, we swam, celebrated, libations went up. um, yeah, and we ate.
We did eat.
I love to eat, so we did that. It was fun, and we just we came together based on a good friend that we both share. And I'm one of those people. Once I meet you and I like you, I kind of keep you. So Kyler's here now.
That's what it felt like too. Like I told Asha when she came on the podcast, I was like, yeah, I got to be one of the homegirls for the week or for the weekend rather. I was like, yeah, I'm just chilling with the new homegirls. Most of y'all I met that day. I was like, hey, we family now.
No, literally, I think by the next day we all felt like, oh yeah, we've known each other forever. Like it was literally so natural and such good energy. It was so much. I had so much fun. And then another thing, I know I keep bringing up my child kind of my whole life. But like I said, it was one of the first like group trips that I've brought my son on. And when I say I don't really expose my son to too many like adult celebrations, he was the only kid on the trip. And when I tell you everybody looked out for him like that was their little person too, it warms my heart. Like Kyrie will still ask me, he thinks the Airbnb is Asha's house. So he'll be like, are we going to go to Asha's house? Like, are we going to go swimming? I was like, boy, this is almost a year ago. Like, please, it's not Asha's house anymore. But like, when I say that it was nothing but good energy, safe energy, family energy, I mean that 5,000%. And it left a huge impression. My son was 3 at the time and he's still talking about it. So, you know, it was a good time.
No, absolutely was a good time. And it was just representative of taking a village. And for me, that was one of those first like trips where I was like, oh, wow, like I really have adult friends. Like someone's here with their kid. Like we all watching over the kid. We all together in this place. We go on grocery shopping as a unit and just vibing, just having a vibe. And just looking out for each other. I got all the footage on my camera just for the memories too. We got our little Bad Girls Club confessional interviews.
I did. I jumped in the pool at one point.
You did jump in the pool.
Like we were not wilding, but you know, having a
good time. Exactly. But you've mentioned Kai quite a bit on the podcast, and whenever I have a mom on the podcast, I always have to have a little mommy corner, just because when I like to look at this podcast and storytelling, one of the reasons that storytelling is important is to pass it along to future generations. And so, a question I usually ask moms on the podcast: let's say it's 15 years from now, Kai's doing a project on his family, looks up his mom and finds this interview. What is your message for young adult Kai about who his mom is and how she cares about him?
First and foremost, son, none of the stories you hear from your aunts, uncles, anybody are true. It did not happen. No.
That's real.
Like, you know, got a disclaimer. No, if my son were to look at this, he's 4 now, 15 years, about 20. I guess we've had a couple of little grown-up conversations by then. So first and foremost, always put God first. Remember who's leading you and who we need to be thanking for every accomplishment, every trial, every tribulation. Constantly keep your faith. Another thing, it's always you. Like, it's just you. Like, there's nobody else you are in competition with. There's nobody you need to compare yourself to. The journey isn't created by anybody, but that is between you and God. And anybody that's trying to interfere with that, anybody that's throwing that off, anybody that makes you question whether or not you're doing this life thing right, tune it out. You are exactly where you were supposed to be. You're exactly who you were supposed to be. And you need to have so much pride in that. I mean, I'm your mother. I'm a little biased. I created you. So I think perfect. But know that you are exactly who you are. And that is exactly who you're meant to be. Just imagining all the things he's accomplished by 20. Proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Probably embarrassing you. You know, I've been a fine mom your whole life. But yeah, just continue to be that authentic person you are. Continue to love yourself first. Because if you don't love you, nobody else can. You know? And even those people that don't, if you love yourself, they don't matter. So yeah, just oh my goodness. What else do you need to know, Mom? What do you need to know about Mom? I've been rooting for you before you existed. Okay, I've been imagining you for a very, very long time. Mommy has made some choices. You did? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, if you see this, I'm kidding. I've made some choices in life, that while I was making them and while they were falling apart, I thought they would defeat me and I thought they would break me. And I want you to know that they didn't. You are not going to be broken by any of the things that push back. You literally have the power and capabilities to do anything you set your mind to. Mommy did it. Mommy made it. You have Mimi. She made it. Pops made it. Everybody was able to get through those things, so you can too. I'm not going to lie to you. Life gets hard. Life gets hard. And sometimes you question things. And sometimes you're wondering why it's you. Talk to people. Talk to that village that I've set up. If you can't talk to me, if you can't talk to your dad, can't talk to your brother, you have so many people you can talk to. You have so many people that love you. Those are the reminders I would want him to get. It wouldn't even be about the things like I've done in life. I don't need him in life. But like, those are the things I've learned, and I would want him to just always remember. Always keep very near and dear in his mind and in his heart. Because I think things get hard, and I think sometimes we feel alone. And I think when I think back to all of the things that like I've made it through in life, the worst parts were when I felt like I had nowhere to go, or like I just didn't have anybody that truly saw me or appreciated me, loved me, accepted me. Those were the hardest times. And just that simple reminder, or people just showing up and like getting that fear out of my heart, getting those lies out of my mind, really did save me. So when you're 20 and life hits, because it does hit, just know you are not alone in it. You are loved and you have a purpose beyond measures. That's my message to my little pumpkin.
Bravo. We might have to cut that and send it to the Oscars as like a little character monologue.
I'm crying.
Shit, I needed that, so I was like, "Hey, let's lock in. Let's lock in."
Like, sometimes we forget. I guess. Sorry, this is a long response. I talk to Kai all the time. Okay. But also, I would say thank you. Like, not that you asked to be here, not that like you'd be here without me and your father's choices or whatever. But you being here changed my life. You've motivated me to be so different. You've been that reflection that I've needed to see all of the things that I want to make better about myself, the reasons I love myself or should love myself, the reasons I respect myself. If you ever feel like you aren't doing enough, know that you are the reason Mommy made it to do whatever she needed to do. You are the reason I keep going. I thank you for being that special person for me.
Hey, I love it. I love it. That was absolutely beautiful, and I think it's very, very reflective of the love that you shared about that you have for your son, and that it's just obvious. Like, obviously, knowing you and being your friend, part of the village, seeing you on social media, like every day, I look forward to the Kai post on your story whenever I'm on social media. I'm like, where's Kai, little black boy Joy smile?
Right. I love it. I love him so much. Literally, best decision I've ever made.
Oh, I love that. See, we got some nice heartwarmingness within some of the laughery on the podcast. And I know that you will be back on the podcast in the future with me and Asha, so I got to save some tidbits for then. But I can't let you go without talking a little bit about who you are outside of being a mom, who you are outside of Bali, outside of the Airbnb. So one of the things that I learned about you since following on social media, you also are a model, always doing some type of photo shoot, killing it on the gram. So talk to our listeners a little bit about your journey as a model.
So this is one of those pipe dreams I'm gonna take it back for a second. So I
Take us back.
graduated in 5th grade. I was a valedictorian.
Okay, valedictorian.
The valedictorian gets a little speech, and I don't remember anything that I said in that speech except I wanted to be a well-paid actress. And so like all of my extracurriculars growing up, if it wasn't soccer, it was something that had to do with like the arts or like acting, improv, whatever I could do. I would have done singing, but that wasn't something I was blessed with. So I keep it in the shower. So yeah, I graduated my 5th grade, was like I want to be a well paid actress. Kept doing little like side classes, improv, whatever it was. Um, I wasn't shy growing up or anything like that. So like anything I could do in that realm, I was doing. I started working, or like after I graduated, I was a behavioral therapist. I had a case in which I was like physically attacked by one of the kids that I work with, and it completely shifted my outlook on like that type of work. Also, since I work with younger kids and I'm a mom now, I noticed I was bringing my work home. It was kind of like, as I have a COVID baby, so like communication was a little different at first. How he interacted, socialization was very different. So I'm looking at all these cases I'm working with, and then I'm looking at Kai like, like just trying to figure everything out, and it became stressful. So I just took a break. And I was like, what can I do in the meantime just to have fun? Started taking pictures. People like the pictures. I was like, people pay me for the pictures.
Might be something there.
What are we gonna do? So I started doing some background work, just little background things, for like web series, some web series shows, and then some like other little movies here and there. And then I was like, well, maybe I could do this. Like, this is kind of fun. Like, I like the atmosphere. Like, maybe I can learn. Things are opening back up now that COVID, not gone, but it's not as
Yeah, it's evolved.
it used to be. And so I was like, well, if you guys are opening back up, you guys are probably looking for people. So let's just see what I can do. I This agency found me on Instagram. Literally, they were like, we'd love for you to audition. I was like, what, are you spamming me? And then I ended up doing the audition. And hi, Lola. Yes, thank you. Calm down. I ended up doing an audition, and it went well. They picked me up. Oh shoot, they picked me up, and I've just been doing things for them ever since. So that started like last year, maybe in March or April.
Mm-hmm.
April. And then I talked myself out of it. Like towards the end of the year, I was like, you need to go back into the psych field. Like, this isn't, you have a whole child that you're taking care of. You have yourself to take care of. You have bills that you need to pay. Like, you're having fun, but like, let's be realistic. So I talked myself out of it for a second. And the people I was working with in my agency were basically like, no, like, we know you now. So they were just like, I want you to try a couple of things. And I've been trying. Not even trying anymore. Like,
you've been doing it.
I'm doing. So I've been doing a couple things. I have this little event coming up this week, actually. It's a Universal's model event. We're meeting at Universal, and I'm just getting in front of a bunch of agents and companies. It was 2 different looks. One, just think very Target-esque. The other was like, they called it Fashion Nova Baddie. So like things like that. That's where we're starting. So like campaigns, stuff like that. And it's been really fun. And I've learned a lot about myself. And I think this has been one of the most personal experiences I've had in like working. I don't think I've ever paid this much attention, not just to me physically, but just like how I navigate the world and like how I present myself. And I don't think I ever like, so I heard this on TikTok once, and it was this video, and it was basically like, remember that when you see people for the first time, this is their first impression of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, very interesting, because no telling what people really think the first time they see me, because the Lord knows I'm not thinking about it. So now I pay a lot more attention to how I present myself. And not saying that I'm like changing myself or anything like that, but it's just very much that person doesn't really need to know every single thing about you. Like, you don't need to overshare, you don't need to overexpose, like those kind of things. And like what I do think everybody should know, just like in general versus like my personal relationships. I think I've been just very in tune with myself in ways that I never have been. And then physically, obviously, like I've never been in the mirror so much. Like I've never been like in a mirror so much. I've never focused so much on just like high. That kind of sounds weird. Obviously, I like my hygiene. I'm taking showers, cleaning things, but just like paying attention to products. What are in these products? How has this caused this reaction to like whatever when it comes to hair, skin, anything? I've never been one to wear makeup. That life is still too complicated for me to do without somebody. But it's fascinating watching the artists like really get into their creative sides and how just large of a range there is in people that do it. So yeah, it's been my journey. It's been very exciting. Very excited to see how this Universal event goes.
Yeah.
Just to see where I'm placed. I have heard, big Rihanna fan here. So like I've heard little things for just like her slew of business. She has every business you could think of under the sun. Ulta, Sephora, Target. I keep saying Target. Target's one of my favorite places. They're making me a little right now, but
Same.
I'm praying they figure that out. Like I'm really hoping they figure that out. Like I know people are doing what they have to do to make it, with the change in society,
Right.
or change back. But I'm hoping that people start to just realize that we serve each other in a way. Like we are nothing without community, and that's something else I've learned through this journey. Like I didn't realize, like I know I'm modeling is like, oh, you're taking pictures, you're doing this, but
It's more than that, though.
Yeah, like you're selling these things. You're like bringing people, you're advertising, you're getting people in groups to become aware of certain things. And like I really want to be able to serve my community in doing that. I talked about representation earlier. I want little girls, little boys to see me and be like, dang, I want to do that. Like I could do that. Like that looks fun. And not just from like a money aspect either, just like thoroughly enjoy. Oh, sorry.
You're trying to star in the podcast.
No, literally, she wants. But yeah, so that's been that journey. I'm praying that by the end of the year, like one of my goals, one of my friends, another TikTok, they sent like this TikTok and you get 3 bottles and you write 3 goals on them and you pop the bottles when you.
Oh, I did see that one. Yeah.
So one of the goals is to have my first official campaign, whether that's in the magazine, in the store, in whatever. Like I have my first campaign and one that I'm proud of. Like I'm happy to be a part of and represent in something that reaches my community in like ways that it hasn't yet. So that's my goal in this. Like it's really fun. And like therapy is great. But this is really like I'm aroused by like the modeling aspect.
Yeah, it's fulfilling too.
Yes, I feel that's so dramatic, but I feel alive. Like I was doing therapy because I'm good at it. This I'm doing because I'm learning, I'm having fun, and it's more than just me.
Yeah. You said so much, you said so many good things within that I don't even know. I promise this is what the people love. They love the yapping. They love, like I say this almost every episode, but my favorite part of the podcast is when people just get lost in whatever is their shit. Like, it's
Mhm.
just like, hey, this is naturally how I feel about this. This is what this
Mhm.
means to me. Because there's a lot of inspiration to be found in that. Like what you said, I work in education and it's something that I'm good at. But in terms
Mhm.
of like, I'm not like, like I told you, as soon as we got on this
Yeah.
podcast, I was tired as hell. And then we
Right?
started this
Oh
podcast.
no.
But now I'm energized because I got your
Yeah.
energy. We're having this conversation. And so I
Mhm.
think I usually end the episodes with talking about takeaways. And I think that's a takeaway for the listeners for the episode is like, find what gets you that spirited feeling. Like,
Right.
that feeling that you're doing something that's fulfilling, that brings you joy, that you're learning so
Mhm.
much about yourself. Because I could ask you 35 follow-up questions from what you said, but I'm gonna save that for a future episode. Because I think there's just so much to unpack there, and just really looking forward to bringing more of your story to the listeners. And just thank you for sharing a piece of yourself on the podcast. I know you said you wanted to do a shorter episode, but time be
Um,
flying. We already been talking for like 40
I
minutes already.
I literally looked. Wow, that's not a lie. That's so true. But I know I'll be back, and I'll be back to work
Absolutely.
with you. So we could always, part to it, come back. I really appreciate you for having me. I appreciate the questions also because I think things like this force you to think, stop, and like take a break and really analyze what you're doing, where you are you fulfilled? Um, and just talking about it with somebody like, I trust and care about, we're friends. So like it just feels good. And it also just feels good to be on a platform that my friend is hosting, like watching you do something that makes you happy and makes you feel fulfilled. Anything to help, I'm always a part of. So thank you. Thank you for it
Yeah.
all.
No, I appreciate that. And when you make it big in the modeling world, and
you know,
I got
all
a
of you.
shirt you need to model. I'm just let me.
Just let me know because I have the book. I will have you. I don't even know how carpets and stuff work, but you know how people do like interviews and stuff? I'm going to have you go around and interview people for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just walk around with me and all the people that I fangirl about. I just need
I would
you.
love to. So don't
Be
threaten me
right
with a
there
good
with
time.
me. Like, I'm so serious. Because another thing is, sorry, here I go yapping again.
I'm on your
With,
time.
with this, I from the looks of it, not that I know these people personally, but I feel like so many people that make it to the top or make it to where they thought they want to be, they're lonely. Everybody eats with me. Like everybody is gonna figure out how to make it to where they want to be, whether that's being by my side, whether that's just me advertising. When I talk about like my village, everybody's coming. I do not want to be lonely at the top.
Hey
And
man.
I don't want to be with strangers at the top either. Like, my village is coming up with me. Y'all are gonna find ways to bring me up, so we will all eat together. Believe me.
And if that ain't the tagline for the Banquet Hall podcast, I don't know what is. Everybody eats with me. Because one of my favorite J. Cole lyrics, what good is first class if my niggas can't sit?
Just can't sit. Don't even get me started because I'm going to Dreamville. Okay, gonna be there. Gonna be excited. Anyway, but yes, thank you.
But no, thank you. Thanks all around. Just I think this is what art is about. This is what community is about. Because you wouldn't know from this episode that I met you not even a year ago.
Not even a year. Right, right. Literally.
Literally been in spaces together
Mm-hmm.
twice in our
Twice.
lives.
I was about to say twice. Your event, Asha's event. But I feel like I said, I make my own family a lot of the time. And like, you're in there, kind of. Sorry.
And I'm honored to be in there. I am appreciative. I'm honored to be part of the village. Honored to have you as part of mine. Before we close out the episode and before I get into my tell spiel, because you're going to be on a podcast in the future, I'm not going to ask all the questions I usually ask, but the one last thing I want you to give for the listeners, just say like you mentioned a little bit about what you're taking away from just talking about your story. What do you hope the listeners take home with them?
Oh, I hope that. So, purpose is my word of the year, right? And I hope that by listening to this podcast, seeing me, living your life, you figure out what it is you're meant to do. It might not be modeling, it might not be hosting a podcast, it might not be education, therapy, whatever. But you are so special and you wouldn't be here if you didn't have a purpose. So fall deep into you. I hope you take away that we need you. I hope you take away that there's a reason you're here. And even if you haven't found it yet, even if it's not highlighted, written in the clearest, writing ever, if it's not on somebody's forehead for you to read, your forehead to see, like, time moves fast, but you have time to figure it out. There's no rush. You're on your path. And we need you. That's it. That's what I have. I hope you get that from this. I hope you feel that. I hope you take it, run with it. Yeah.
Listeners, if you turn your attention to the aisles, the ushers coming by with the offering plate, because Alex in here preaching.
Hallelujah.
I need all the listeners to turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, that was a good episode.
Yes, just take it and be you, not what everybody's trying to turn you into. Seeing us as two people. Like you said, we've been in the same space literally physically like 2 times. Every time I've been with Tyler, I've learned something. I've been inspired. I've been comfortable in being me, and that's what's important. And I hope you guys just take that. I hope you see 2 people, that are being themselves, and it just motivates you to be yourself too. Shine your light. Be you.
Shine your light and be you. Listeners, I promise 5-star content. Y'all got the 5-star content. Make sure you leave that rating, leave a like. Subscribe to the pod if you haven't already. Follow the podcast at Banquet Hall Pod. Oh, I almost forgot, Alex. Where can people find you if they want to continue to follow you in your journey?
Oh, I have an Instagram. It is Alexandria K Miller, I think. I'm almost positive. I also have a personal account. If you get to know me a little more, you can get that one too. But yeah.
Yes, it's Alexandria K Miller. I just double checked.
Alexandria K Miller on Instagram. Feel free to follow. Interact with your girl. I'm friendly. I promise.
She is very friendly. I can vouch for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, listeners, thank y'all for tuning in to the Banquet Hall podcast. Alex will be back for future episodes. Make sure y'all tap in with some of the older episodes. If y'all haven't watched Asha's episode, Keeping It Authentic, whatever it may be. Plenty of stories for y'all on the podcast, but everybody's eating here. I hope y'all have a blessed night, and we'll catch y'all next time. All right, so we had to start the recording back real quick because there's a question that I forgot to include in the podcast. Alex, who's going to be winning the Super Bowl this Sunday?
Let me tell you who's going to win, okay? My team, my quarterback, okay? My running back, the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles. And it is Eagles, not whatever that lady said. They are going to win, okay? They are going to take it. If they don't take it, nobody can speak to me for a week. That's all.
How did you even become an Eagles fan?
So my friend Kamara, she's really big, and her family, they're really into sports. She is a 49ers fan. And so I think 2 years
Condolences.
ago. Literally. Tears. What is it? Sorrows. So she, 1 year or I think it was 2 years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get into it. I'm going to pick a team. I'm going to be a sports girl. So we did football. And me, because I like to win, I was like, let's see who is the best record right now. And that's how I'm picking the team. So at the time, the Eagles had the best. They had the most wins. They had the best record. And then they took their helmets off and were fine. So I said, you know what? I could do a little Philly cheesesteak. I could do, I could.
I'm so done with you.
I could do this. And so yeah, big Jalen Hurts fan, big Saquon fan. I love my team. I got really into it. I also learned so much like watching them play because I didn't understand like a wild card round, and I think here or something like that. Like they had one of the best records, but they played that game and they like got kicked out, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, like what is this? So yeah, like just they've made it interesting to follow. So follow the Bill and Eagles fan. Went to a game and now look where they are. So I just feel like we're meant to be. Also, green does it like their greens are cute. Like they have a little cute uniform. I said I could do that. Like this like green is like money. Like ooh. So yeah, here we are. In the Super Bowl in New Orleans at that with an LA ass performer. Like very happy about this.
All right, I'm rooting for y'all, so I'm hoping that they win. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to take the episode down and take this part out.
Mm-hmm. You actually will have to take this out and don't let anybody see it, and then call me back from the podcast and have me crying and yelling at every chief there is.
All right, cut.